Yo, what's up? This your boy Penny, host of the Stadium Show on Crossover Radio with my whole co-host Keith Kloss. And today we doing something a little special. I got one of our faithful callers in here, my man JR, one of the faithful callers every Monday on our Crossover Stadium Show. And today we're doing a little something that I like to call On the Way to the Stadium. So we're going to be talking about topics here and there and giving our take on interesting things that we believe in sports, things that we don't get to on the show. As well as we're going to be taking comments and suggestions on things that y'all want to talk about. So today, me and JR, we're going to talk about this MVP conversation when we think about who we should be getting it. And I'm a person that believes that it's still a close race between the top two people, which is James Harden and Steph Curry. And we was talking about it on Twitter today, and he brought up some interesting facts. And JR, you want to say what's up to the people, man?
What's going on, people? It's JR and Lil JR, you know what I mean? And we got to have this conversation for the simple fact that the conversation on Twitter was getting heated. So, my boy Penny, hit me and said, hey, we got to bring this to the people. We got to Skype this. And that's why we here, right now, to bring it to y'all. Chime in whenever you want. When it goes up, comment. And let's do it. I'm ready to prove my point. I don't care about yours.
So JR, let the people know. I mean, you saying to me that Steph Curry shouldn't get the MVP and that James Harden should get it. And we did some numbers and stuff like that. And basically, I judge it off of the impact that you make on your team. And the point that you was making on the Twitter was you said that Steph Curry has basically like a real good team, so that enables him to get his numbers. And my thing is, I think that he does have a real impact on the team. And I give him the credit of the success of the team because he didn't come there and it was already built for him. I believe that drafting him was the core. They added Klay Thompson, and then they started building the pieces, which is what you always do when you're trying to build a championship caliber team.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I told you, I don't get me wrong. I see his impact as a player. He is, but to me, he's replaceable. He's replaceable on that team. Not saying as a player of his caliber and everything, but on that team, he's replaceable. And I just go to his backcourt mate. His backcourt mate, Klay Thompson. He averages 2 less points than Steph, and all the other stats across the board are dead on pretty much, except for assists. But Curry's the point guard, so of course he's going to average more assists than that. But all the other stats across the board are pretty much the same. You know what I mean? So I don't believe he's the most valuable player in the league. Well, I just don't agree with that.
Well, I can get with that, right? But let's say you throw in somebody like a James Harden, who he's very impactful of his team, but he's more in a position where he has, I believe, the same type of pieces built around him. It's just he's missing his number 2 guy. So I do think that kind of sort of will give him a nod. But the Warriors are on the verge of, as a team, a special season. And Steph Curry plays a big part of that. They got a chance right now currently to go 69-13, which would be the second best record to date in NBA history. A couple of other teams did get that. The Bulls actually did follow that up after the 72-10 season. The 80s Lakers had a 69-13 season. Yeah. But, I think that when that's a rarity. That's a special season in itself. And, it's one thing if he was a role player or if he was the number 2 man, but he is the number 1 man on that team. So I think that nods him out. And James Harden, with their record right now, they don't have a chance to even win 60 games. So, I give him all of the credit that he deserves. I believe that he is a definite, they are right here. But at the same time, I would give Steph the nod along with that too. Now I do believe that it shouldn't just be a hands down, and when it comes down to that, they should duke it out. It shouldn't just go to Steph for if he gets 69-13. I believe they should wait and see maybe what the first round, second round does, because at the same time, you have a potential Golden State versus Oklahoma City Thunder, which brings another candidate, Russell Westbrook, into the picture.
Exactly. And my whole thing with James Harden being the MVP, you have to factor in that he hasn't had his full team together from all of the season. It's one person. The stats say the team has only been together for 2 whole games throughout the whole year. And that's very alarming when you're plugging in pieces and things of that nature. My whole thing with the MVP is the words is most valuable player. If Steph doesn't play for Golden State and he plays somewhere else, we don't have this conversation. Steph is replaceable. You can, like I said, if you put Steph in OKC for Westbrook, what Russell Westbrook has to deal with this year with no Kevin Durant, no Serge Ibaka there, and they're still fighting in the most competitive, conference, the West Coast. Like, you know, does Steph still have that impact over there where he has to get a triple double? Can he get triple doubles in that matter? Like, we're looking at this stuff like these people aren't human. At the end of the day, what Russell Westbrook did with 10 triple doubles, and I forgot how many he had straight. But that's something I couldn't see Steph doing. Even if he was with another team or he given that opportunity, I don't see him doing that. Granted, the numbers he's putting up, like I said, we have a couple people that put those numbers up. So, valuable player, he's an impact player, but he's not the most valuable player in the league. And without James Harden there in Houston, with what's going on there, Houston is not in the conversation.
Well,
Without Westbrook there, OKC is not in the conversation.
well, I want to say right there where you said MVP is most valuable player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the award that we're talking about. So when you talk about it like that, you would have to be telling me that Steph Curry is not the most valuable player on his team. Now, let's say that he's not the most valuable player in the league.
Yeah, that's
but the most valuable player is a team achievement. It's an individual team achievement. Now, once again, if his team is having the best season, and he's the most impactful player, because I'm one that says Klay Thompson has just as much to do with it, but at the end of the day, we know who's up front on that team, and it's Steph Curry. So I think that Steph does get the MVP, and it's going to be interesting to see the rest of the way on down the road. But I also believe that should be determined in the playoffs.
Yeah, it definitely, that's one thing that a lot of people have a gripe about with the NBA because, a guy can, be on the Bulls team and go 72-10, and they'll give him the MVP for being the best player on that team, but they'll lose the first round of playoffs. That's always going to be there. But is Steph put in the forefront of Golden State by design, or does he earn it? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's going out there leading by example type thing. That's what it is. And when somebody else is on the floor with you doing the same exact thing that you're doing, you know what I mean? Are you put up there by design, or are you put up there because you earned it? When I look at these other guys, Westbrook has been going through this for the longest, even with Kevin Durant there. Stephen A. is on record. These guys Kenny Smith is on record saying that OKC with Kevin Durant there could have 2 MVPs on the floor at the same time. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's why I keep going back to Curry having a team around him, because that's not really an excuse. He's still putting up mediocre numbers. Not mediocre, but he's putting up numbers like Kyrie Irving is putting up pretty much the same numbers he's putting up, and he's not even dominating the ball as much as Curry is because he's playing with LeBron James. You know what I mean? But when Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant on the floor, Russell still puts up these numbers. You know what I mean? He don't have the triple doubles. They're not as crazy as they are, but he's still putting up these same numbers. And that's something to me that stands out. Even James Harden with Dwight Howard on the floor, he's putting up these same numbers. You know what I mean? So Curry on the floor with Klay Thompson and all these guys, he's putting up these same numbers that other players are putting up. There's nothing to be really excited about. 24 points, 23 points, 24 points a game, and four rebounds, 8 assists. Where guys who, like I said, stats don't lie. He's shooting 90% for the free throw line, but he only shoots about 4 to 5 free throws a game. Like it's one of those things where you got to watch the numbers also because James Harden shoots the most free throws in the league. He's been to the line the most, and he's at about 88%.
Yeah.
That's only a couple points under that.
Well, overall, my take is, I think that this year, as far as the numbers go, I believe Steph Curry right now is the MVP, along with the team success, his personal, and stacked up against the rest of the competition. Like I said, we're going to be doing these videos every week, sometimes a couple times a week. For those that want to comment on what we talk about, if you have subjects that you want to talk about, feel free to hit me at It's Penny365 on Twitter, PennyPen77 on Instagram, Penny Pittman on Facebook. And also you can catch me every Monday at 9 o'clock on Crossover Radio, the Stadium Show with Keith Kloss. This is my boy JR, and like I said, he's a faithful listener. He's one that press 1 every time, and I want to thank him for doing this with me. And JR, you want to give out your information just in case they want to get at you?
Yeah, man. Follow me on Twitter, Mr. Fatboy007. That's Fatboy spelled with PHAT and boy BOI. 007. I answer that more than anything. Everything else, the same Gmail. You can email me questions or anything you gotta ask me. Same as my Twitter. Just without Mister. It's Fatboy at gmail.com. So I'm here.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we're gonna be bringing it to y'all more and more with the different topics. So, like I said, if it's topics y'all want us to weigh in on, just let me know. And like I said, we on our way to the stadium. Don't forget to check us out Monday night at 9. We out.
That's right.